Good evening, and thank you for watching. My name is Nathan Brown. I cover the House of Representatives for the Arizona Capitol Times, and I'll be the moderator for this evening's Legislative District 29 Republican primary debate. The Citizens Clean Election Commission is the sponsor for this event. As the state's voter education agency, Clean Elections hosts debates so voters have the opportunity to hear directly from the candidates, ask questions on the issues that matter most to them, and vote informed. Candidates that have a contested primary election have been invited to participate in this debate. Candidates that have opted into the Clean Elections Clean Funding Program are required to participate, while traditional candidates are invited and encouraged to attend. Please note, candidates from both the Senate and House may be participating in the debate tonight. When voting in a primary election, voters are choosing between candidates of the same political parties their preferred nominee may advance to the general election. The questions that will be asked this evening are coming directly from voters. Leading up to the debates, Clean Elections conducted outreach to voters across the state, asking for questions for the candidates. Additionally, Clean Elections surveyed voters to learn what issues are important to them. This survey data, along with input from the experienced journalists at the Arizona Capitol Times, Arizona Agenda and Green Valley News, and Sahuarita Sun, have been utilized to guide the discussion so it best serves voters. Of course, we want to hear directly from you, the voter. So, voters that are watching this debate live, you can submit a question at any time by email, debates@kc-a.com. That's debates@kc-a.com. By text, to 480-808-1814. That's 480-808-1814. Or by phone at 480-937-1253. That's 480-937-1253. We screen questions for clarity to eliminate duplications, speeches, or personal attacks on candidates. The debate is scheduled for either a half hour or an hour, depending on who shows up, so we may not get to all audience questions, but we will do our best. Candidates running for the State House of Representatives who are with us here tonight are Hop Wynn. Ryan Eldridge, who is running for State Senate, may be joining us later. Mr. Wynn, you will have 1 minute for your opening and closing statements and 2 minutes for your responses to voter questions. And with that, let's start with your opening statement, sir.
Good evening. My name is Hop Wynn. I'm running for state representative of LD 29 as a Republican candidate. I have seen the problem that we've had with our state the last 2 years with the pandemic, what is happening, and it concerns me, and that's why I'm running for office. My platform is simple: the Constitution. This Constitution that we have in this country, or in particular with the state, is what maintains law and order for us. And so in order for us to have freedom yet order, it needs to be adhered to. My purpose is to protect the right of the constituents in LD 29 in the state and in this country, and to fight for the prosperity of the state.
Okay. All right. Let's start with the questions. We've gotten a few questions about the border. One of them is, what is your plan to secure the border? What should the state be doing that it isn't now?
The issue of the border is a very complicated issue. According to the Constitution, we have given the rights to the certain rights to the federal government to protect us as far as the border is concerned. But right now, what we're seeing is that it's not being accomplished. And even though some think that it is the responsibility solely of the federal government, it is also our responsibility as the sovereign state of Arizona. So if the federal government does not do its job, then we are obligated to secure the border to protect our citizens.
Do you believe the state should come and finish the border wall?
Definitely, because right now no one is guarding the border. 4 weeks ago, I went down to the Yuma sector, and what I've seen and what I've actually interviewed a border patrol agent, and essentially there's absolutely no border. People from south of the border walk up to the border agent, as though they're your friend. These are law enforcement officers, okay, but they're not allowed to execute their duty. So they just walk up to them and get processed. And to me, it defeats the purpose of Border Patrol. Why do we even have the Border Patrol there if they are not enforcing border the border?
All right. And do you believe that employers who hire undocumented immigrants should be penalized?
I'm sorry, could you repeat? You're breaking up.
Oh, I said, do you think employers who hire undocumented immigrants should be penalized?
Knowingly, yes, because they are participating in breaking the law.
Okay. All right. And our next question is on gas prices, which have skyrocketed in the last year. What's your plan to get gas prices down? And do you support or oppose suspending the state's 18-cent per gallon gasoline tax?
At this point, the gas price has to do with the federal government shutting down the Keystone pipeline. There isn't much that we can do at the state level. And yes, the 18 cents per gallon that the state imposed on gasoline will serve to help relieve some of the pain that our citizens are experiencing. But I'm running for a state office. There isn't much that I can do at the federal level. I wish I could.
Okay. All right. Now the next few questions are about voting laws and the last election. The first one is, do you believe there was fraud in the 2020 election, and what will you do to come stop election fraud in Arizona, if so?
There's too many anomalies in the last election to just close our eyes and think that there's anything happening. At this point, we have to at least, first of all, stop the ballot harvesting. And that is and also to clean up the voter rolls. I believe that we need to eliminate voters that are no longer alive, voters that are or have already moved away. Specifically, Maricopa County needs to take charge of cleaning up that voter roll. And that goes, I guess it goes to all the other counties. That is a good start. Now, actually, we also would need to have poll watchers to ensure the integrity of the voting system. That is a good start.
All right. And do you support or oppose the voter ID measure that's going to be on the ballot in November?
Well, if I am to go on an airplane, I get checked out by TSA. I might have to provide valid IDs to even get on a plane. Okay, voting is 1,000 times more important than traveling. Why should we not have voter IDs? Now, here's what I'm saying to those who oppose it. As an immigrant, I am very, very offended that some folks say, well, yeah, these people of color don't know how to get their are disadvantaged in some way to get their voter IDs or their ID cards. That's just bogus. You know, I think people need to stop insulting uh, what they call people of color by saying that they're too stupid to get an ID. So to me, yes, we everything that we do, we have to show IDs. I have to, if I drive, I have to show an ID. If a law enforcement officer stops me because I did something wrong on the road, I'm obligated to show my ID to prove that I am able and qualified to drive. So it is not anything out of the ordinary to require photo IDs to prove you are who you are.
All right. And what are your thoughts on the current system of early voting in Arizona? I mean, like, are you basically okay with it the way it is, or do you want to see some changes there?
Um, the voting system, according to the Constitution, is one day. Early voting, unless there is very mitigating circumstances, such as someone going out of state, and they can't be there on the day of voting. I think we need to get people to start exercising their civic duty properly. If they can vote on the day, on August 3rd or November 2nd, they need to be there in person to vote and prove that they are who they are. And you know, in short, I think that the early voting should be done away with unless there are mitigating circumstances, like I said, sickness or someone who has to go out of state, or the military who have to send in their vote from overseas.
Okay. All right. All right. I think we'll move on to a couple other topics now. The next question is, what infrastructure project in your district, if any, would you fight to get state funding for?
I'm not aware of any right now, so I will have to bypass that question.
Okay. All right. And the next one's on abortion. The U.S. Supreme Court is considering a case that could overturn the Roe v. Wade ruling. If that happens, what do you think abortion law in Arizona should look like?
What I think matters very little. What the Constitution thinks, what's written in the Constitution is what matters. The Constitution guarantees every single person the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, it comes down to the qualification of, is this a person or not a person? That is what's the basic argument is. It's not about who has the right. Every one of us living in this country, whether we're in the womb or outside the womb, has the right under the Constitution to live. So we can argue that, well, this person is not alive because this person is not out of the womb. Now, it is a slippery slope. And if you look at World War II, when the Jews are defined as non-human, and so there is freedom to kill them or to imprison them or to do anything with them. And that is a huge problem. So we have to go back to the Constitution and ask ourselves, is this fetus, is this child that's yet unborn, does that child have the right to survive? Now, here's the problem that I see. If a person, a pregnant woman, drives a car and a drunk driver hits her and kills her, that drunk driver gets charged for her death and for her baby's death. So in that situation, that baby is defined as a child. Why are we not defining that other child that's in another woman's womb as a human? We are inconsistent. It doesn't. A human person is not defined based on my emotion or on the situation. A human is a human, and that is what I need to fall back on. So according to the Constitution, that child has the right to live.
Okay. All right. So, are there any circumstances under which you think abortion should be allowed, or should it always be illegal?
There are always exceptions to any rule. Now, those exceptions need to be addressed individually. We can't just, unfortunately, with the pro-abortion camp, they often use the exception to make the rule. And to me, that is not right. You cannot say, well, this is a situation of a rape or a mother's life being in danger. So we have to allow everyone to perform abortion. And it just, we cannot do something like that. You take the rule, you make the rule, and there are always mitigating circumstances that need to be addressed individually. You cannot make a law that opens up the door to everything. I think that's wrong.
Okay. All right. We're going to move on to a couple of questions about education now. The legislature is considering a bill right now that would expand empowerment scholarship accounts to all students. Is that something you would support or oppose?
I have not read it in depth. I'm aware of it. Extending scholarship to all it's a very broad umbrella. First of all, I don't believe in extending any type of benefit to those who are not here legally, and for good reasons. Because when you break the law, you cannot use that offense and continue to get benefits. Okay, so I believe also that yes, extending scholarships. I don't like the term extending scholarship. What is scholarship? We have to go back to taxes. I pay taxes for education. You pay taxes for education. Okay, so I just happen to not have children, but if you have children, then your taxes are being used to build schools. Your taxes are being used to hire teachers. Your taxes are being used to maintain the education system. Now, if that education system does not fit your model for how you should be raising your child, then I believe that you have to have the leeway to get that fund out and give your child a good education the way that you see it fit. So yes, I have a problem with scholarship as though it is something that the government gives, to the citizens. It is not the government's money to give anything. So it's not a scholarship per se. It is, I would call it a tax credit, or a better way to describe it.
With that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I'm back. My next question is a couple of bills were proposed this year to let college students and faculty carry concealed guns on campus.
You're breaking up again.
Do you support or oppose that idea?
Yes, as long as they are qualified. I have hesitation in about folks who carry firearms who are not at least qualified. Not to say that we want to infringe on their right to carry arms elsewhere, but in a close-in situation for their protection or the protection of other students, I would prefer them being qualified, such as, for example, taking a CCW training class. Yes, but that's what I that's my opinion on that.
Okay. All right. And now I think I've got a couple more questions about the economy here that I think we'll come to close with before we go to your closing statement. Arizonans are suffering some of the highest inflation rates in the country. In what ways can the state help ease some of the inflation and its burdens on Arizona families?
Again, inflation at this point is the federal government is mostly responsible for that. What we can do at the state level, and I've thought about this, is it may be not very intuitive, but I'd like to abolish income tax. And here's the thing. We've had other states who've done abolition of income tax. And what is happening with those states was that they attracted new residents. And these new residents help boost the economy by purchasing goods and thus increasing the sales tax. Okay, so the economy, we have to infuse something in the economy. To me, giving out tax rebates is very short-term and short-sighted, because tax rebates don't work. We need to abolish the income tax to, first of all, ease up the hardship on our citizens and attract commerce from other states, attract other residents. So I think that will ultimately, inflation is going to have to be solved by the federal government, but we need to be able to do what we can within our state to help our citizens.
All right. Then the next question is on housing affordability. Housing prices have increased considerably in our state, which was once known for its affordability. What is your plan for improving the situation?
It's a very difficult question because it's very related to inflation. We've known that in the state of New York, rent control doesn't work because they've had rent control for years, and their housing cost is still exorbitant. We need to be able to provide affordable housing by building more affordable dwellings. I think at this point, let me give you a perspective from a guy who is an immigrant. Okay, I'm always looking for a way to shave off my expenses. Okay, and I've lived in houses that I bought for $18,000 before. Nothing to write home to mom about, but there's a roof over my head. Okay, I think we need to not only build affordable housing, but also educate the citizens even at the school level, at the high school level or grade school level, to be thrifty, to save money, to budget themselves. I've worked for 47 years, and I don't see the justification for an iPhone. Okay, for $1,000 for an iPhone, and I think that we need to instill into our young people who go out into society to be more thrifty, to be more conservative with their spending, and that's how we can solve the housing problem. We can solve the economic problem. We can solve even the job problem. Let's not allow or let's not encourage young people to go to college to get a degree that is not marketable. Let's encourage them to go to trade school, okay, where they can get a job that they can earn a decent living. So I know I'm not answering the question directly of housing, but the housing price is only a symptom of our society that's degraded into this situation where we can't sustain ourselves. We need to teach our children that income has to be greater than outgoing. Unless we give them that tool, that skill to balance that checkbook on a daily basis, we can't solve anything. We can't solve the housing issue. Right now, we are taking, this is the result of years and years of not teaching our young generation to be thrifty. So I'm not answering your question directly, but I don't know how to address it effectively. It took us 50 years to get to this point. We can't have one representative in the House solving this problem in one day or in 2 years or even 2 terms. It has to be a slow process going back to where we used to be.
All right. Well, it's been about a half hour. It's time for your closing statement.
What I want to do in the House of Representatives is to provide a voice of reason. We cannot, our economy is in the toilet, literally. We cannot continue and sustain ourselves in this situation. we have to go back and correct the problem at the education level, at the career level, at the job level. The last 2 years, we've seen, because of the mandates, the illegal mandates that the governor issued, we've seen hundreds and thousands of businesses just go away. And I think that we need to bring back a certain degree of deregulation to allow businesses to do what they need to do, allow the small mom and pop shop to succeed instead of putting more regulations on them. We need to allow them to, for example, you have several different levels of licensing, and depending on who you are, the business licenses are just out of control. We have to shore those in. I want the education system to be effective in training young people for the future. We have high school graduates who can't even speak English correctly, who can't do simple math. And so we're doing them a disservice by setting the standard of education so low so that we can pass them. No, the purpose of education is not to graduate young people. The purpose of education to prepare them for real life. Life is hard. It's not fair. And as an immigrant, I know that. It's not fair. It's hard. But you can't just say, well, we'll protect their lives. We protect their emotion. They will protect everything that, that they want. No, we cannot protect them from real life. Let's prepare them for it. That's what I aim to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And this concludes our debate. Mr. Nguyen, we thank you so much for participating. And to the voters, we thank all of you who took the time to watch the debate and inform yourselves before the August 2nd primary election. As a reminder, the voter registration deadline is July 5th and early voting begins July 6th. All registered voters, including independent voters, can participate in the primary. We encourage you to visit azcleanelections.gov for official, accurate voting information.